What's up, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to the job site. Kyle, RR Buildings, and we already got started on the trusses. It was just Cole and I, really, and that was a lot of work for just us because I was teaching him. Greg is back. He's feeling better. His man cold is over. I got Cole here, so us three are gonna just try to whip out as many trusses as we can. I would love to bust through a lot of this pile. We got the Magni, the weather is great. The only thing that we need to keep our fingers crossed is that my Mega Deck water pump is going out, it's leaking, and my service guy is gonna be down maybe next week to fix it. He said just keep filling it with some water, make sure your coolant levels stay where they need to be, and as long as nothing happens, you're gonna be good. I'm like, well, that's reassuring. Cross your fingers, guys, and let's get into doing some trussing. I'm excited. My favorite day. And usually it's a day. I think it's gonna be like my favorite week because this is not gonna be done in a day.
You gonna have enough reach on that girl?
Should, since it's the same distance as that long last truss we put up over there. Did you eat a donut yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. This is when your boy's hands get tired. Having to manhandle all these after they've already been nailed.
Well, give me a...
No, I'm gonna catch up to you, don't worry.
If you let me know, I'll push and pull you.
No, I don't need you to. I just wanna let you guys all know that are watching this. I was dressed first. And when Cole came out of the basement, out of his bedroom, we both realized that we put on the same colored shirt. So, Greg, this time you're the odd man out.
I don't have a red shirt.
Oh, really?
Nope. Oh, yeah. She's leaking pretty good.
And now drive forward and turn this way a little bit.
They grow up so fast.
A little bit goes a long way. Time to move the Magni again, which means we're making progress. We got 3 bays done this morning. What time is it, Greg?
Just after 11.
11 o'clock, just after 11 o'clock. That's not bad. Maybe we get one more before lunch, and then we've got to make up, actually, we got to make up more trusses too, so. Still going good. Okay, 8-1 and a 16th. It's tight, dude. Give me a fun one. 16-1 and 3/8.
That's X ahead.
Yeah.
16 what?
16-1 and 3/8.
Just take her straight up.
Okay, I got her.
Gotta boom her out, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah, boom it out, buddy.
There you go. Yep. It's turning out to be a decent one. Yep.
Try to move on.
Those are not anywhere close to any of the lyrics.
Yeah, it's the song I'm singing. It's an old one, dude. You don't remember it probably. No. This is like an oldie, man. I think it's been so long since I seen your face. I tried to move on.
No.
Huh?
Nope.
What?
Nope, wrong.
No, that's wrong.
How's it go? It's been so long since I've seen your face.
It won't be long before I get you by my side.
Okay, why do you even know this anyway?
Bro, that's like my era.
I tried to get. Wait.
That's my era.
Who is it?
That's Akon.
Anybody else sweating pretty good?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
You just really want to.
Every time you miss, I'm coming, dude. Let's see, another common comment, Greg, that I feel we need to address is the number of people that commented on Cole and Kellen's shorts. The younger that you get on this channel, the shorter your shorts get. And I'm thinking tomorrow I'm gonna bring up some like.
Oh no!
I have a pair of Under Armour black shorts that are pretty short. I'm gonna wear them. I just don't want to ruin them. I love them. Probably the least fun part about trusses is making purlins up, but this jig has definitely made our job much more efficient. Now that we have this jig, I can just line up my level. Use my marker purlin that's already been marked. And it's easy. There we go. All right, we got 4 more bays of purlins made up. We're gonna get back to trussing now. Goal is the end of the day, get 4 more bays up. That way when we make purlins, we put them up, that would be a huge day.
Go to that side. There you go.
You ready, Cole?
Get out of here.
I told you, if you miss, I'm coming for it.
Hey, you missed too.
I know, I'm not in a good position, but still fun. So, wherever we have the splice like this, we've got our line that we've marked 2 foot on center, and we just go ahead and put a purlin on the low side for 1 bay, and then like this, we're putting it on the high side. So because we pound 60 pennies into this truss, we don't want to drive 2 60 pennies right next to each other and potentially split the top cord. We drive 1 60 penny, and then we nail with ring shanks the 2 purlins together. And then when the steel comes across, it gets all screwed in, it gets even more so locked down. But some people will do a drop purlin that sits against the truss in a hanger. Not a fan, and that's a whole nother day and a whole nother topic. Just know that if you're wondering, well, what if you put them, you know, down here and then they could all be in a nice straight line? Go for it, dude. Greg, could you imagine the pain at 300 foot if we did a drop purlin? That would be the most ugly, inconsistent. These top cords are so cupped and nasty, you'd never get it to be perfect. You'd have to be cutting and marking and recutting all the time. So, lat purlins, we got that line that we put on the purlin, and we just line it. What in the Greg, you son of a gun. I don't even know what I was gonna say because I got interrupted by Greg putting this purlin on the top side of the line instead of the bottom, which it happens. It's no big deal. Nothing for the Diablo. I guess now we just hope it doesn't split. How did you? Oh, never mind. Okay.
Oh, that's kind of disappointing, really. Know when to run. You never count your money. But when you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting.
Try to take her that way, dog. I am already pretty dang tight, man. I'm booming out.
Right now, this right here is your center point.
Okay. As far as I can go out.
Yeah, if that's how it's gonna be, that's perfectly fine.
All good.
You know what the kids say?
You know what the kids say?
Gucci flip-flops.
I don't know. I don't understand sometimes. How can it reach out so far? It's like I got so far to go, but I should make it. That's a long travel, man. I mean, look at it. We just swung this truss from that freaking pile way over there. It's unbelievable. I don't think I get tired of the Magni. Maybe it'll be one of those times where everybody's like, oh, drinking game. Every time Kyle says he loves the Magni, we gotta take a drink. We'd all get drunk, you know? Hey, Greg, you wanna get Purlins? See, believe it or not, Cole, he can control it there.
It's true.
All right, so guys, we're not quite exactly halfway. I think we got one more bay to get halfway, but what we want to do right now, because we've got a lot of wood up in the air, we've got chains holding it down, but the problem is, if you look up right here, you can see up this end of these purlins. They are not perfectly straight. Now that's a combination of two things. One, our lines may be lined up and straight, but the purlins, some of them might be 16 foot and 3/4, half inch, so they're not gonna be perfect. But all the way back on that other end, we started exactly on the edge of our truss on the outside of the building. The problem is there could be some ins and outs in that truss. So what we're gonna do now, this is something that we've been doing on big buildings for years and it really helps, is we've got some structural lumber. I bought some LVL and we're gonna go up there, install them on that first truss, lining up every line, and you'll see how this works. And the goal is to get this as straight as possible and lock down really strong, because if we try to keep building, if we go 300 foot in trusses and then we try to move it, forget about it. It will not be easy. So we need to do it before we get too far. So we're gonna stop making trusses up, stop hanging them for now. It's the weekend. We wanna get this building all locked down. So I gotta go get my structural lumber. This is like, if ever we, need to take care of our enemies, you get one side, I get the other side, and then we just kind of, it's like that, okay? See how clean that was? Quick and fast and effortless. Just slide me this end. I got it. Okay. Jeez, you got it all, man.
Golly! Felt like it.
Okay. Okay, so we're taking this structural LVL, laminated veneered lumber, and we're basically, Greg is gonna push and pull me so that I line up with all of my lines that are on these purlins that we use to line up right to the edge of our truss. The goal, and don't worry, I'm gonna be very careful here. The goal is that when we do this, it's gonna force, because this thing is a nice strong 11 7/8 LVL, it should straighten out any inconsistencies in our end wall here. So Greg, go ahead and push me away. More. Keep going. Oh, take it back a hair. Right there.
All right, let's make sure we're on the same page with our terminology.
Okay, push away.
No, in, out.
Oh, so that's a little bit weird. So in is away from you and out is towards you. Wait a second. Let me look at this. How is it?
I mean, it's fairly decent.
It's definitely could be a lot better. In fact, look it up there by Greg. Look how far off we are. We're off, what, an inch at the top?
Yeah, about
7/8.
7/8, 3/4.
And so as he keeps pushing and pulling me, we're just gonna keep dialing this bad boy in right there, but let off a hair, right there. And even more so, what's nice about this, what we found, is that let's assume that we get this on and then there's just a gentle kind of bow in the wall. We can hook one chain on the most bowed area and it brings the whole thing in, instead of if we just hook a chain here on a purlin without anything, it'll pull this purlin, but it might not pull two purlins away from it. Greg, out. So this is a big investment, These LVLs are gonna cost me, I think, 180 a piece, but we'll find a use for them. That's one. So what we'll do now is we'll alternate, or we'll overlap back a couple purlins, go on the other side of the line, and go all the way to the top. Okay, we're gonna go two, yep, just like that one right there. Okay, it's all you. So, three things. Locks us down really nice, gives us a nice secure, like we don't get the wiggle in the wall, in the trusses, the purlins, all this really gets locked down. But when we run our metal roofing, and we gotta get that first piece on, the first one, we got a nice little walk area. So we'll be tied off when we get up here and we're doing that, but you can walk right up this thing. It's nice, comfortable. And I think this is an important thing to do on these big roofs. Lock this sucker in. I'm stoked about that. Okay, so that's the first major thing that we need to do before we kind of leave for the weekend after doing this big chunk of trusses. Next thing we need to do is we need to get our chains in, our cross chains, because this building right now, we've got some chains kind of keeping it from going this way, but we need every so often to make sure that if the wind comes and pushes on the side, we don't have any like major movement going on side to side. So as you guys can see, as we've been going, we've been putting cross chains that are basically going up to the center of our truss, and then they're coming back to our column. And what we're doing essentially is we set these bases all on a string line. So we know that those are all straight and square, and we did all that during layout. So now what we're doing is we're basically coming through with a cross chain, and we're actually, I mean, this one's dead nuts level. So it's perfectly plumb, which is a good thing, but what we want to do is hold it there. So Greg put me two chains up here, and they're gonna go opposite each other, so I will be pulling opposite towards each bracket. So because this one is already basically perfectly plumb, we're just looking to snug up this chain, and then we'll check the plumb again, and this will hold this section of trusses from any wind doing this. A lot of times I see guys will just take a 2x, kind of like what we did in the initial stages, and they'll A-frame it all, and that's fine. But when it comes time to straighten these trusses to put our roof on, if you've got a bunch of lumber screwed up there, it actually is kind of daunting to go and push and pull it all, because now you got to move it all and potentially unfasten what you've already fastened. You guys didn't see that. For us, the chains are already hooked up, so we just have to move where the binder is. That might be too much, but we'll come back over here and we'll snug this one up and see what we did. And so when we come back to straighten these walls out, these chains are already in place. All I really have to do, if I want to pull this wall more this way because it's sticking out, then I can just tighten up this chain like this and go boom, another link. Snap it in and it should move it. So we'll check this for plumb, and if we're good, then I feel pretty good about this section being locked down. Money, okay, we're good, dude. So yeah, there's still some movement here, but if the wind hits it, it's not gonna wobble around and get weakened and then fall over. So, okay, so that's another thing that we gotta do before we kind of leave this big section, either A, for the weekend, or B, until we do more trusses. We don't want to do too many more. The next thing we need to do, if you follow these chains up where that chain is attached, see that bottom cord up there? You see how kind of wobbly that is? That is because we don't have any of our bottom cord stiffeners on, and that's what we're going to do next, but that's a big job, and that'll be what I think I do tomorrow. So let's just go ahead and get in tomorrow where we'll do our wind ties. All right, guys, Saturday morning, something that I don't normally like to do is come out to the job site and work on Saturdays or Sundays. That's my weekend, and I owe that to my family and myself for rest. But I got a lot of travel coming up, and definitely wanted to make sure that we were kind of prepared for Monday. So Cole and I, my son's way back there, we just came out, we prepped all these purlins. This is enough purlins now for us to get all the way to here. So from those trusses way down there to here, that's how many purlins that is. And then what we did was we cut up like a whole bunk of wind ties. That is what I wanted to show you guys today. It's something that we do on our trusses, and that's really where the strength in the truss comes from. especially when you're considering your snow load. So let's get up in the lift and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So what a wind tie is these bottom cords. Look at this. Not a whole lot of structure. And what happens is, if you don't brace your truss properly, when the snow load sits on it, it will flex and push and try to fold these trusses over, and then that's when you get a roof collapse. So what we're doing is we're going to stiffen these bottom cords with our wind ties. And what we're going to do is every post, every column is 8 foot on center, and we're going to run a wind tie to the column from this end to that end. And all we're going to be using, these 2x4s. So what we'll do is we'll just get them up here on the top cord. Cole, go ahead and slide that bad boy all the way down over here. So it'll be on this side. No. Okay, go on the other side, buddy. Okay. So here you can see how wobbly this truss is, right? Watch what happens as soon as I tie into this wind tie that's all the way back tied into my column. We're going to use some GRK structural screws. Centered. Now look at that. Now we're getting somewhere. So what we're doing is we're tying the bottom cord in all in one big solid chunk, just like our roof. And then what we will eventually do is we'll put angle braces, kind of like what you see maybe over there, from the outside wall up to the roof. And then what that's going to do is it's going to lock our top cord and our bottom cord together. So this whole roof structure, it can't twist and flex. It's one big, entity. So we're going to go through, do all these wind ties. Not a whole lot of, instruction. It's pretty easy. We made our marks on the ground every 8 foot, lines up with their columns. And then we cut our 2x4s into 16 footers. So it should land in the center of every truss. And if they don't, then we got to push and pull that bottom cord to line up in the center. That's how we know that we're also straightening our trusses. So we don't just screw where they line up. We'll actually make a mark at 8 foot and 16 we'll cut. And then that is where they're going to go exactly. People are going to say, the building. Wind ties are time consuming, but definitely not hard. The worst part is it's all up in the truss. And if we were to build these trusses on the ground, that was our original intention. We were going to have all this done on the ground. But when we considered the fact that the trusses are like 11 foot tall to the peak, we either still have to climb the truss, which 11 foot is still pretty tall up, or we'd still have to use machinery inside the middle of the trusses and then lift them up. It just didn't make sense. So we went ahead with just building them all one at a time, the old fashioned way. And honestly, the Magni's so fast swinging them in that I don't think it's a big deal. That's just one run of wind ties. We're going to do the same thing on every column. It's going to really stiffen this up. And then what you'll notice, actually this one's missing, but you'll see all these kind of green tags around. That is another place that we need to run wind ties. And it's more like web stiffeners so that when, once again, the weight of snow is on the roof, it's not bending those members. Now, I probably should have told my truss engineer, just go ahead and bump up the size of those from a 2x4 to a 2x6, and maybe even the 2x6s to 2x8s or whatever, because the labor and time it takes to do those web stiffeners is kind of a pain, versus if they just came with stiffer framing, I might get away with it. But I'm not the engineer, so he might have already done those calcs and said it was a better way to go with just 2x6s. I'm not really sure. All right, guys, I feel really good now about having this major first section of trusses all locked down. We got the chains on. We've got our bottom cord wind ties now on. We've even got that framing on the end that really helps keep everything nice and straight, that LVL material that we put up on the top of the roof. So now that we have that done, we can go to town and just start putting a lot of trusses up. And really what we're gonna pay attention to is making sure that every so often we put another cross chain just to keep it from racking. But hey, it's gonna be a lot of trussing from here on out. So make sure you guys, if you wanna see, I think a unique video is what we're gonna do next. Definitely make sure you're subscribed, follow along, and yeah, come back and watch us put up a ton more trusses and see this building turn into something that, I mean, is just monstrous, and we've never done this big. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You guys have a good one, and thanks a lot.